You know that torture time I was talking about? It was all worth it in the end. Now, I live in the South. I'm from Alabama. And we had a thing called inner tubes when we were kids. If you're from up north or anywhere else where you don't know what an inner tube is, Google it. Inner tubing. It was literally the tube out of the inside of a tire blown up into this huge donut of a float. Solid black. Heated up a little bit in the summertime. And you took it swimming. Now, while the women were finishing up and resting from the cooking part, they didn't go to the water a lot of times. They waited. Well, the first time anyway. Because we didn't care there was 1,000 degrees down there. We were going to get fried. And we were going to get on those black inner tubes and burn your arms off. It didn't matter. All the men of the family, they traipsed our little butts right down to the water. You got an inner tube. If you're a skinny kid, 2 could get in it. The best time you could ever have is getting on the river and getting in an inner tube and just floating. Fun thing was you could tie 2 of them together so you didn't float away. You could lay there in the sun for hours. Bad thing to do when you're a frosty Snow White person like I am. That's porcelain, I call it. Inner tubing was the best. You could lay across the top, lean back, and lay there all day till you got back. And then you discovered that you have been floating on the river for about 3 hours and you're French fried. If you have an olive tone to your skin, lucky. I'm a white girl from the South. I got sunburn. I got sun poisoning. But floating in the inner tube was a lot of fun. Everybody did it. Everybody took one. Usually had them tied to the top of your car or somewhere in the back because everybody had an inner tube. One little tidbit that I won't ever forget as long as I live. I don't know. I could have been 5, 6 years old. The men also took us fishing. We did that closer in the sunset evening time when it was a little bit cooler. But men would take us fishing. And everybody took their own poles and stuff, carried your own stuff, but the men would take us all fishing. And so I remember vividly, I know what I was wearing. It was a one-piece red swimsuit, flip-flops, fishing pole over my shoulder, booking it down through the trail with all the other kids who the men were going to take fishing. I could feel my pole bobbing on my shoulder. Then you know when you're fishing and you catch something and you get that little pull on your pole, you know you got something. I was walking along and I felt that. I felt that little pull. And I go to take my pole off my shoulder. I caught something. I caught my right butt cheek. I called my daddy. Because my daddy's my hero. Daddy, I need some help. What's wrong, baby? My fish hook is stuck. Okay, just pull it out and come on. Daddy, I need some help. My daddy had to get my fish hook out of my butt cheek. I won't ever forget that. Now I know you're saying you shouldn't carry your pole. I didn't let my hook dangle. My daddy taught me right. It came off while I was hiking. Needless to say, a girl checks her fishing pole and does one extra crank to make sure that bad boy's not coming out. That hurt. Didn't stop me though. I went fishing that day. Because tubing and fishing was 2 of the best things you could do at the lake and the water when you went camping. And the men took care of us kids so that the women could rest some, because the women would go swimming later on when it was cooler. You remember me telling you about a lot of people coming camping? Well, when you cook for that many people on a campfire, you have to have a good plan. And my mom and dad were the best. My dad bought my mom this skillet. I'm not kidding you. I can't even get it on film here. It's big around. I'm not sure, 18, 22 inches, something like that. We had this massive pan that we used when we went camping. Dozens and dozens of eggs, sausage, bacon, fried potatoes. Live in the South, fried potatoes. For breakfast, for supper, for whatever. You know what I was talking about? That the women had those jobs? It's like the army cooking fried potatoes for that many people. But we could cook a whole lot at one time. And, whoops, sorry. If you've ever been to the Rendezvous in Mississippi, I make peach cobbler when I go for everybody who camps there. We had about 60 there last year. I made 2 peach cobblers last year. I brought 2 pans because my daddy found me another pan just like it that is now mine. You want to cook for a crowd? Get you a big pan. It's a lot of fun. A lot of work, but it's well worth it. We never left going camping without that big skillet. My parents at one time bought a camper. It's a small little camper. I had 5 people in my family. I thought I was one of the richest people in the world that I had a camper. And today I look at the campers, which are monsters. Got a phone call, sorry. The RVs and campers today, they're monsters. I do not like them. I think if you're going to drag your house, you might as well sell the one you have and go on the road. That's just how I feel about it. A camper's nice to get in out of the weather. It's nice if you have older folks who can't put up the tent and be out there and all. Go for it. But I think if you have a young family, I think getting in your tent or getting in your hammock is the best thing you can do for all of it. Because there's responsibilities that go along with that. And your children need to be involved in that. You don't need to pull up in your camper, hook up your power, which is defeating the purpose for going camping. Sorry, people who have one. Nice, comfy bed inside. You're not supposed to be that comfortable when you camp. You're supposed to be out. I'm not saying be uncomfortable, but this hammock right here, if I could hang it in my bedroom, this is where I would sleep every night, over a bed. We had a camper, and it was pretty sharp. And I know that my mom and dad worked really hard to put the money up and to earn for that, so that we could have the comfort, that my mom could have a really good place to sleep after feeding all those people and watching all those kids, because we had a lot there. It was a lot of fun. But that tradition carried on, and I took my kids camping. Tent camped for years with my kids, and it was hot, and I was tired, and I argued with my first husband going, I argued with him coming back, but we had a good time. We were there, and we camped every possible weekend that we could. I wanted to give my kids that. I wanted to give them what my parents gave me of getting out and having fun, because that's what it's about. I miss camping with my kids. They're big now. But they all camp themselves. I don't have a doubt in my mind that my daughter could survive. She has all the skills. And that was some of the things that when I camped with my kids, they had responsibilities. I realized how much work it was on my mom, and so from the time I took my kids camping, they had responsibilities.